What is going on, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Main Event Review. Thank you once again for tuning into this week's episode. This episode recorded after WrestlePalooza, so we're going to be breaking down WrestlePalooza in a PLE that was hyped so much, and it simply just didn't deliver to the hype. And I know that they've accompanied or acquired ESPN and made a deal with them. But the PLE just there was no wow factor. There was no surprises. There was nothing massive to suggest that this was a partnership debut event. The way that they were hyping this up, it made it seem like it was like a WrestleMania 2.0. And it ended up being like pretty much a Saturday night main event type schedule. And before I get into obviously main event matches that have occurred in this WrestlePalooza, I guess, review, I'll start by saying, for the hype that it's given, it wasn't good. The matches were not bad, but it wasn't good. It wasn't like so much corporate hype and going off topic here, like Triple H, for I guess some of the stuff he's done with creative wise has been okay. He's just become so corporate, like talking all these deals, obviously with Saudi Arabia. Like, we've got sponsorships on Slim Jim tables. And like, I'm okay for it because I understand that he wants to make money and WWE wants to produce revenue. The issue that I have is how much they sort of just throw it into our faces, and then how much he hypes it up is what annoys me. Because when you're hyping something up so much, you expect it to obviously deliver. I would prefer that you just throw in the little corporate sort of sellouts and the sponsorships there to us, but not just hype how good it is. Like, some of the corporate deals that they've come off of, I've heard they've got like some just random sponsorship deals. You had the Hulk Hogan segment with like random people cheering for Hulk Hogan. That was just like, it was so fabricated. And you had the commentators, Michael Cole and stuff, like cheersing a beer that they probably didn't drink. It was just like so vague. And even like with Pat McAfee coming out, obviously he's an Indiana native. We expected him to come out, but he brings Tyrese Halliburton, who has no involvement in the match. He's just there to watch it. Like, does he have to come out? Like, just stuff like that that's just kind of starting to get on my nerves a bit more as I see it. And when you top it up with the announcement of Saudi Arabia, WrestlePalooza, and ESPN and all the advertising, it's just becoming like, he's just like going too far now, and it doesn't even, like, it's not even living up to the hype. So I feel like he's selling us a product, and I'm speaking by him, I'm saying Triple H, a product that is just overhyped. And yeah, I'm not really vibing with it at the moment. But I guess in the end, as much as I complain about it, as much as I've noticed it, we're all going to sit there and watch it. And I do understand that they want to bring new people involved, and they want to make it as if they understand that it's entertainment, it's not real. And I get all that, but like, don't hype something up that's not going to live up to the hype that you expect. It's just my concern. And WrestlePalooza was just a massive example of it. Like, the amount of times I've seen advertisements and this hype, and you're talking about the pre sort of taping of, I don't know, ESPN past events and all that jazz. Like, I couldn't even tell you exactly what it is because I zoned out completely, one. And two, it just was like an overstimulation of advertisement and hype to a point where we got to the event and it just didn't deliver. It just didn't deliver. And yeah, that's all I got to say before I blabber on. But it was a very underwhelming event. And that's not because of the event itself, it's because of how hyped it was. And that's my frustration with what happened with WrestlePalooza. And mind you, that it's a terrible name. Like, WrestlePalooza, CM Punk said it sucks. It's a terrible name. Like, we've got WrestleMania. We don't need to add wrestle into another PLE. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say before I go on a blabber on. I'll leave it for the review, but we'll get started with main event. The first match, Fraxium taking on Los Garzas, and they're running it back again. It seems as though that these two tag teams are not doing anything on SmackDown, so they have to get on main event. The first thing that I gathered was that Fraxium did get the hot tag, so I thought that maybe Nathan Fraser got the hot tag, not Fraxium. Nathan Fraser got the hot tag in the match, but Axiom did get the pin. So it seems as though they're split in the middle when it comes to who's over or not. That was an interesting thing. I did think that they would have probably put Nathan Fraser over because he got the hot tag. And if he got the pin, I would have certainly thought that. But when Axiom got the pin, it shows that they're sort of splitting the role, which is a good thing for the tag team. They do get the victory here, and Los Garzas fall short once again. And I guess with these two, the one thing that I will say is, obviously Andrade is not there anymore, but what happened to sort of that tease of Legado del Fantasma like falling down and Berto potentially betraying them? It just seems like they just scrapped that storyline off. We saw them teasing it a bit as Berto was getting really angry and Andrade was trying to lure him into to work with him or to just sort of get away from Del Fantasma. But it seems as though that's not going to happen anymore. There's no Santos Escobar to be seen, so I don't know if he's still involved with them. It looks like they're becoming their own, but they're dominating in the lucha scene, but not in the WWE scene. And I think if they were to explore that sort of split, and I always say this with tag teams, like a split could do them wonders, but it's not going to happen. It's just something that I gathered with Berto. It seems as though they're just going to stay on main event, and with this partnership with AAA, they're going to be a staple there rather than on the main shows. And that's okay, I guess, because there's not really much going on for them. But I think for Fraxium, they are getting better. And since they've come onto the scene, it's like the machine guns. They've come off firing. It's like Penta. It's like Rey Fenix. They've started off the blocks firing. But once they've got that heat sort of away from them, they haven't been able to, or creative haven't been able to do much with them. So hopefully that kind of gets resurrected. Maybe they're in the run for tag team champions in the future. A Raw change could be good. I always talk about how bad the Raw tag team division is. But again, they get a victory here. So momentum there, and they're still young. So they're sort of building up as a team as well. And I really like them together. I'm a big fan of Nathan Fraser. I feel like he's extremely quick. It's a great asset, and he can be someone for the future as a single star. But for now, I think Fraxium work well together. So why not keep them for a little longer, but give them a bit of a push as well. Maybe for, like I said, on Raw for the World Tag Team titles there. And then we got the second match. We have Rusev coming on. It's been 8.5 years since Rusev has been on main event, albeit he hasn't been in the company for a while, but 8.5 years is a long time. So he makes his main event sort of re-debut or reappearance after 8.5 years, and he takes on Cruz del Toro. And once this match card got, I guess, advertised, we all know that Rusev was going to win the match, and he won it quite easily. He used the accolade. He dominated. There was a time where Cruz del Toro sort of fought back for about 2-3 minutes, but then obviously Rusev dominated and outpowered him, and this was the right decision. As mentioned in Clash in Paris, he did win that match, so they're obviously pushing him forward. It seems as though that he might be challenging for the Intercontinental title, as we saw on Raw. Those two, by those two I mean Dom and Rusev, had a bit of a backstage promo, and Rusev basically introduced himself and said that he's coming for the title. So it seems as though that Rusev is going to be chasing that title. Whether he does it as a face or heel, we won't know, but the crowd will be rooting for Dom Mysterio. So I kind of like the angle. Whether he wins or not, that begs the question, but he's having those sort of conversations to potentially be an Intercontinental champion, or at least fight for it. And that's something that needed to happen after beating Sheamus. So there's no obvious surprise that he won this match. I don't expect to see him on main event again. But yeah, he was on there. He filled up the match. He did well. He showed his dominance, and it was expected, the result. Cruz del Toro, again, they continue to be who they are, irrelevant and insignificant. And yeah, I think this match would have been better if we saw Joaquin Wilde, because I feel like Joaquin Wilde has got better acrobatic skills, and I much prefer him in the ring over Cruz del Toro. And I think although Rusev would have squashed him, I feel like Joaquin Wilde could have had some pretty good spots, especially flying over the top of the ring and stuff, to make it a bit more entertaining. But nevertheless, they would have lost anyway, and there's not really much going on for those two. Anyways, that pretty much concludes main event. It's a rapid one, but obviously the two matches to get through. We'll work through WrestlePalooza, and in the order, I will confidently say that I got all predictions correct. I made sure to check my review last week to double check that. So all my predictions were correct. The way the matches happened, We'll break it down by one-on-one. So we'll start with Brock Lesnar and John Cena. I did say that Brock Lesnar was going to win this match, but it was definitely a 50-50 chance for me, given that it's obviously John Cena's retirement tour and Brock Lesnar has come back. But it was just a squash, and obviously it resembled what happened back in 2014 at SummerSlam, where Brock Lesnar delivered 16 German suplexes. Obviously, I don't think John Cena has the capability of taking 16 German suplexes, especially to the back of the head with all the bumps. So totally understandable that they went with the F5 approach. So he hit 7 F5s to John Cena, 6 in the match and then 1 after. Basically dominated him. There was literally no chance for John Cena. And yeah, the same story that happened at SummerSlam. Obviously, Brock Lesnar has got John Cena's number. And it does make a lot of sense considering that it is going to be John Cena's last few matches. And Brock Lesnar has just come back to the company. They want to make him look strong and they want to make him serious if he is to fight on significant matches. And in the end, it is Brock Lesnar. Whatever you think about him personally, he's unbelievable in the ring, and he's got that presence that is of someone that is intimidating and scary and is a beast, and he's proven it in real life and also in the WWE ring. So definitely the right decision there. I gotta say, he does look really chiseled for his age. Like, he's keeping in top shape. I think he looks better than how he was when he was younger. It's crazy to see, but he makes quick work of John Cena, and whether they have a rematch or not at Crown Jewel begs a question, but it seems as though Brock Lesnar is going to be pushing for bigger and better things. I do like the Paul Heyman angle. I like that Paul Heyman announced him. It was a bit of a nostalgia sort of view, but maybe they team up again, and that kind of puts a little bit of friction into the vision. We'll have to wait and see, but if you take away the personal stuff, it's great to see Brock Lesnar back in the ring. He's just someone that I've grown up watching, and he's simply a beast. Like, you can't look at it another way. So he gets the victory here. John Cena doesn't get affected too much. You saw the kids crying in there, and it's a good thing. It's to show that John Cena was vulnerable, and this is the first time we've seen John Cena get absolutely ragdolled in this retirement tour, and it was no better person than Brock Lesnar to do this. So let's see how he bounces back. Besides the guaranteed War Games match that I'm pretty sure John Cena should be in or will be in, I actually have no idea who he's going to verse, especially at Crown Jewel. You're thinking the rematch would make the most sense, but we don't really know. And then he's got maybe 2 or 3 more matches. He's got Saturday Night Main Event, and then he's got his last match in Washington. Again, WWE being corporate and not putting it in Boston was a joke, but anywho. I don't know who he's going to verse, so it will be interesting to see who he comes across. In Australia, there is obviously betting. They're saying that Gunther is the favourite to verse John Cena, as presently constructed. He might come back and challenge him. You're thinking The Rock, but at the same time, The Rock is looking very thin at the moment for his sport movie. For his movie. So I don't really know if that's going to happen. So I'm just looking at who could potentially be John Cena's final opponent, and I don't really know who. So it's something that it begs a question again, as I've repeated, and we'll have to wait and see. Simple as that. We then get the second match of the night, and that is The Vision taking on the Usos. Now, I thought about this before, and I was wondering, LA Knight's not going to be on the card. He's obviously got a big sort of involvement in this feud at the moment with the Bronze and everything that's happening with Jey Uso. They decided that he's going to be the special guest referee, and a great decision, a great way to integrate LA Knight into the match. He sort of did call the match down the line, which was quite surprising. I thought he was going to get into more altercations, but he did let Jimmy hit Bronson Reed with the chair, as obviously was his rules. I still don't understand tag team matches. Like, are they disqualification or non-disqualifications? Because sometimes matches are and sometimes they aren't. Obviously, LA Knight made the rules here, so this is a different case. But I'm just thinking that in general as I do this review. But anyway, the main story of the match was that Jey Uso was about to hit LA Knight with the chair. It didn't happen, and prayers up to Jey Uso. It looks like he's going to be in the concussion protocol, so we won't be seeing him tomorrow. It appears as though when he hit Bron Breakker with the chair, the impact ricocheted back to his face, and he actually had 6 stitches. You could see that he was actually busted wide open, pretty big. Didn't look like it was a work there. He looked he looked he looked really brutal. So I hope that Jey Uso is okay. It looks like he is. He's just in the concussion protocol. But yeah, the match was about basically showing where sort of that feud lies between Jey and LA Knight. Obviously, Jey didn't hit him with the chair. It appeared to cost him because he did end up eating the pin. We had the Bron Breakker double spear spot, which was pretty amazing. And obviously the tsunami. And they do get the victory of the Vision as I predicted. But it's just great to see that Bronson Reed is getting the pin here. And Jey Uso getting pinned as well. It protects Jimmy, which the one thing I say I was wrong about my prediction is thinking that Jimmy would have got pinned. That didn't happen. Ended up being Jey Uso. But Bronson Reed getting the pin was amazing. Because I think for this tag team to be taken seriously, or this faction, we obviously know Bron Breakker is the main guy when it comes to being the future, not really Bronson Reed. So whatever Bron Breakker does will be good. It's how they kind of get Bronson Reed to be sort of high profile. Then by giving him a pin, that's a good thing. Bron Breakker still has those amazing spots. We're talking about the spear. He did botch the Breakensteiner, which is something that wasn't a big deal, but it was just something to mention. But he ends up always doing good spots in matches. And Bronson Reed getting the pin only does wonders for him. And getting a victory here for the Vision was the right decision, given that they are obviously on a really good run at the moment. And I'm glad that WWE has given them the run. They've actually taken things on by themselves as well, as Seth Rollins has been busy with the CM Punk, AJ Lee stuff. It's been great. And they're going to continue to go up and up. And I think we're just waiting for Roman Reigns' return for what happens when Bron Breakker and Roman Reigns take on each other there. So that pretty much wraps up that match. We then have the match of the night, and that was Io Sky taking on Stephanie Vaquer. A wrestling textbook match. Two in-ring amazing performers. Io Sky is unbelievable. Stephanie Vaquer also unbelievable. Stephanie Vaquer does get the victory here with that, I don't even know the finishing name, but she didn't do it with the SPV. She did it with the sort of, I don't even know what that was, but it was an incredible move at the top of the ring. She gets the victory over Io Sky, and no Asuka, no Kairi Sane. So I got that wrong. It didn't seem as though Asuka was going to cost Io Sky the match, but I think that was the right decision. It was a fair down the line victory. The sort of knee injury that Io Sky sort of faked made her look a lot stronger in this one, and it doesn't affect her too much, but it also helps the storyline too. One for Stephanie Vaquer, as it doesn't seem like a cheap victory. It seemed like she got it fair and square, so it doesn't taint her reputation for the title. And it just shows that Asuka is proven right that she does need the help of the Kabuki Warriors to win a title, and that will open up the feud with those two. And that's something that I was extremely excited about, the potential of Asuka and Io Sky getting into a feud, and I think that's going to be really exciting. I did think that it was going to be when Io Sky had the title after winning at WrestleMania, but I'm kind of happy that they're taking Io Sky away from the title. I think Io and Ripley have been in that sort of area for so long, and I feel like they can do more with them without the titles and really prove that they can still be over without needing a women's championship around their waist. And for Stephanie Vaquer, she's ascended so quick, and I think she's ready to be champion. I think it was the correct decision. I think that Stephanie Vaquer is simply amazing. Her in-ring ability is great. I like the idea of her new t-shirt catchphrase saying wrestling is my first language. That's just brilliant, and I've been a massive fan of her since she's arrived in WWE, starting with NXT, but now also on the main roster. And there's no better champion right now than her, I think, and I think she's going to do a fantastic job with that belt. Whether she takes on Rhea Ripley, which I feel like is going to happen, even though I said that I'm not tired of seeing her, that I've seen her there for so long, I think it makes the most sense. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we might see Liv Morgan return as a bit of a surprise, or Nikki Bella might just have her way. Let's actually look into that. But again, the right decision, doesn't affect both. Io Sky will focus on Asuka, and Stephanie Vaquer will focus on defending that title, and we'll be able to see more matches from her as well, because it doesn't seem like we saw a lot of matches since she's debuted the night after WrestleMania. So that's also very exciting too. We then get the sort of co-main event, I'd like to say, or the sub-main event, with Seth Rollins and his wife, Becky Lynch, taking on CM Punk and his wife, AJ Lee, in a mixed tag team match. Now, a lot of people have criticized the match, but I personally really liked the match. I obviously said that it was going to take a while for AJ Lee to come in, and I think they did a fantastic job in making sure we were like excited for that, and we were just waiting for that moment. The way they teased that you had Becky Lynch throwing AJ Lee off the corner when CM Punk was about to tag in. You had the distraction with Seth Rollins to the referee and Becky Lynch attacking CM Punk. It was just executed great. And I really liked the table spot with AJ Lee hitting Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch on CM Punk. You could see that CM Punk actually whispered in her ear to check on her to make sure she was okay. So that was something that was, I guess, not on script, but really nice of her to do. And you had a few spots where you had the men attacking the women, but not with strikes. Like you had the little sweep that Seth Rollins did on AJ Lee, and you had the sort of sharpshooter locked in on Becky Lynch, but nothing to think that was any like physical violence in that aspect. Obviously, CM Punk contradicted himself, saying he'd never lay his hands on a woman. I think he meant that by actually just punching or slapping them. So I guess a submission is fair play, but it was a good way to sort of just allow them to have contact, but nothing too vigorous that would, I guess, annoy fans. Like for me, I had my take, and Matt's had his take on it. In a safe environment, I see where he's coming from, but I think at the same time, it's a difficult one because obviously the reactions are going to be too bad there. So like, again, it doesn't affect me. Like if someone gets hit, I know that it's on script, so I'm not going to be upset about it, but some people are, and it's just probably better to not do it in case like WWE's reputation, and you know how they are with their reputation, they'll probably lose a sponsorship deal if that happens, and they don't want to do that. So again, I have to go back to that. I can't get over it now since I've brought it up with Triple H and his sponsorships. But again, AJ Lee gets the victory, locking the Black Widow on Becky Lynch. And I did expect AJ Lee to get the victory in her first match, and thought that there was a pin, but I don't know why I said that when obviously Black Widow is her finisher. But she gets the victory, and obviously sets up them two feuding for the Intercontinental Women's title, and CM Punk and Seth Rollins continuing to strut along. I think these two, when their careers are done, obviously they didn't start well when CM Punk left, are going to be such close friends, because this rivalry has been going on for almost 2 years, and it's just been great. And you got to give credit to all people involved, all four of these men and women that are making this feud something worthwhile. And that's what you want in WWE. Obviously, feuds are meant to end in 6 months. You're meant to see new things, but within those sort of feuds, they've managed to sort of make this pretty cool in 2 months, and it does 2 years, and it doesn't feel like it's overly dragged on. We then get the main event, and for me, of all matches here, this match, the only reason why it's the main event is because it's for the WWE Championship. But in terms of like the build up to this, wasn't that great. It's like, I'm obviously happy that Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre do get a program together, but it just wasn't hyped enough for me to think that it was main event. There was no stipulation. There was obviously lots of tension between the two, but nothing to like the level of the mixed tag team match, which could very much have been the main event, and nothing to the level of even John Cena and Brock Lesnar, which obviously that wasn't a main event due to the match and how it was done, but it just wasn't worthy of a main event in my opinion. It becomes a main event by default, and Cody Rhodes gets the victory. We obviously have the ref not letting Drew McIntyre kick Cody Rhodes through the announce table, which he ends up doing anyway, but missing him. And it's set up in a way that obviously Drew's knee or leg was hurt from that kick, and then as he went for a Claymore, his leg gave out, and that's how Cody Rhodes gets the victory here. We did have Cody Rhodes fake an injury too. I don't know if that was real or not, but he faked an injury. But if you're going to do that, if it's fake or not, it looked like it was, why wouldn't you get Drew McIntyre to attack that knee? It just didn't make sense. It could have been a botch, who knows. But when I saw that, I thought it would be a way for Drew to sort of attack that knee. That's what Randy Orton does often. He's very good at like faking injuries in a match. But it didn't end up happening. It ended up being Drew McIntyre losing the match, ironically, because of an injury. And again, this was the main event of the match. And when it happened, you may have thought, okay, WrestlePalooza, all the hype that I mentioned at the start, something's going to go down. No Randy Orton. Randy Orton didn't appear. There didn't seem to be like a heel turn. Randy Orton didn't come out and say, I'm going to go for the title now. Like, nothing happened. It was just a standard match, and Cody Rhodes got the victory. And it was like, Cody Rhodes was going to win anyway. We all knew that. Like, that was the easiest prediction on this card. It was that Cody Rhodes got the victory. And I don't know how Drew McIntyre lets creative do this to him, because he keeps getting screwed over. I mean, it's great for his character, because he's obviously going to come out and say that his knee was the reason why he lost and make up excuses. And that's what we love about Drew. And hopefully he might get a rematch. But Randy Orton is obviously the end game here. It looks as though those two are going to take each other on at WrestleMania, I think. And it's probably the right way to go, because these two have had a lot of history together, and they've been teasing that these two are going to be going up against each other for a very long time. So it's coming close, and I think we're finally going to get that match. They're obviously rumoring Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. I just don't think it makes sense. We obviously need a trilogy match for that one to determine who gets 2-1 up, but I think Randy Orton is the main play here. I would love Randy Orton to win the championship, to be a 15-time champion. I think it would be cool. I think he deserves to be closer to John Cena than 3 times. Like 14 or 15 or 16 would be nice. Tying with Ric Flair, I think, would be appropriate. And I don't think Randy Orton would want to get to 17, but he'd love to get to 16, I think. And I think that would be an appropriate number for him. So, again, Cody Rhodes gets the victory. And I think the only most significant thing, which I forgot to mention, that happened that apparently was meant to be hype and surprise, was that Stephanie McMahon has been inducted into the Hall of Fame for next year. Probably the earliest inductee I've ever seen. And as much as I do honestly think that Stephanie McMahon deserves it, it's hard for me to feel like so happy for her when obviously her husband is in charge of creative and has a big say in this. But again, she does deserve to be a Hall of Famer. She's obviously given a lot to the company, and she's been there her whole life. Obviously, her father created the whole company. I'm talking about Vince McMahon. And yeah, the right decision. But again, that was probably the only thing that I wouldn't even say was a surprise. It was quite cringe how The Undertaker or Mark Calloway, if you want to call him, wasn't even acting like the dead man. And Stephanie McMahon had that conversation. But again, she gets that. Good on her. Well deserved, but hard to sort of congratulate when, one, it was so early, and two, it's obviously going to happen when her husband is part of creative and her father created the company as well. But again, that's what happened, as probably the only thing that was of significance in terms of what we didn't expect, but no one was asking for this. So yeah, that was the main event review and the WrestlePalooza review as well. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I will catch you guys next week. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.